All right, so we're gonna get moving along on this as people trickle in. Wonderful. Trying to be like as respectful of y'all's time as humanly possible, because I know there's a lot of other like white noise happening with hurricane prep and all that kind of jazz. We'll start first with introductions. Hi, I'm Carrie. I'm the person who's been emailing you for a while, so you have a name and a face now, so that's good. And you can introduce yourself.
My name is Julianne, and I am also a coordinator in the President's Leadership Program with Carrie. So we share an office wall, and we'll be going on the trip together with you all.
It's gonna be great. One thing before I have y'all introduce yourselves briefly, we're recording this and we're going to be emailing it out to everybody because like not everyone can be here in the makeup times that we had. Like people are evacuating, but we still want to get that information to everybody. So when we do get to questions and we're like repeating it, and that's not like a normal social habit that people have, it's so that the microphone is picking up what the question is. So they may have those questions too. Cool. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
All right, you're up.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel.
Whatever you want.
Okay.
What do you hope to get out of this trip? And what's your hurricane evacuation plan?
So I'm Rachel. I live in Richmond, so I plan to go back there for the hurricane, but I can't leave till tomorrow night because I have my first day of work tomorrow. But I hope to, I guess, just be more culturally exposed to like a whole new culture through this trip. 2 summers ago I got to study abroad and that was like a huge growing experience for me, so I hope to get the same out of this as well.
Awesome. Thanks.
I'm Kyan. My hurricane plan, I don't know because I'm on the women's soccer team, so we might have to leave to Pennsylvania. So I don't know what I'm doing yet. And pretty much same as you. I've never been out of the country before. So looking for like a different perspective on things.
Sweet.
I'm Anna. I am driving to DC tomorrow to stay with my brother, and I just want to like get a new perspective and a different experience.
Let's go over here.
Hi, I'm Aubrey. I'm leaving. I don't know what I'm leaving for the hurricane. Still figuring that out. I'm interested in like joining the Peace Corps, and I kind of want this to serve as like an experience to like help me with that decision.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm Caitlin. My evacuation plan is to go home, which is 20 minutes away. So
North? Like, are you going to Virginia
Chesapeake.
Beach?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
it's
going
about
that
the
way.
same. All right, great.
So smart plan, yeah. And I kind of just want to see what life is like outside of like the country and stuff because I've never been.
My name's Tara. My plan is I commute from home, so I'm just going home 10 minutes down the road, not leaving. And I went last year on this trip. I had a fantastic time, so I want to return and gain more experience and have the same type of fun and be with people.
I'm Caroline. I'm going back to Chesapeake. And I just want like new experiences.
We'll go back there.
Hi, I'm Justine. I'm a sophomore. I'm leaving for home, which is Mechanicsville, outside of Richmond. Either tonight or tomorrow. Don't know yet. Figuring it out. And I'm super excited about this trip, and for lots of reasons. But also like I'm really excited to work with the kids there. Because that's something I love to do. So I'm just really looking forward to the experience.
Hi, I'm Sarah. My plan is to go back. I leave tomorrow morning on a train to Nova. So that's my plan. And then I'm also really excited about this trip because I've never been out of the country either. So like, I want to get a new experience, and also I love kids, so I want to make an impact and help in any way I can.
I'm Mackenzie. I go by Kenzie. I'm from Annapolis, Maryland, so I'm taking a train back there. And I live on the water, so I don't know how smart that is.
But here we go.
But yeah, my dock's already underwater, so. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to this trip to make a difference in someone's life.
Hi, I'm Phil. I'm going back home to Chesapeake, so I guess we'll see how that works. And I'm going to go on this trip because I really like hanging out with kids, and I do a lot of community service here. So it'd be good to do something somewhere else. I don't get an opportunity to go see.
Yeah.
I'm Emily. I'm going back to Winchester tonight. And I've always wanted to be a teacher, so I've always wanted to do something like this. And I want to make a difference in all of their lives. So I'm really excited for it.
I'm Nick, and I'm going home to Winchester tonight too. It's like 4 hours away. And I'm just hoping to get like a better volunteer experience, like somewhere else, not here, out of the country, and also better for their lives.
Hi, I'm Sam. I also won this trip last year, and I really enjoyed it. And I want to go back to validate my strengths and my weaknesses as a leader, and also to drive with the kids because they think it's very fun. My graduation plan is to go to Centerville to my friend's house because I live 8 hours away and I don't really do that.
So there's that.
I'm Maddie. My graduation plan is, I don't know when we're gonna leave Aubrey, but we're gonna leave tonight at some point to go home to Nova. I want to go on this trip because I want to teach, so I'm always looking for opportunities to hang out with kids in a different culture.
Okay, cool.
I'm Madison. I'll probably be heading home to Richmond later tonight, hopefully. And then I want to go on this trip just to give back, and I also want to be a teacher, so that's just something that relates to that, hopefully help me out in the future.
All right, so you're both Maddie's last
I'm
name.
so sorry.
Wellman.
Tabler.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thanks for playing. We really want to use this time to go through just some like logistics pieces. I know some of y'all are still in the phase of like, it's kind of tentative on whether or not you're fully wanting to commit to this experience yet. And as I put in one of the emails, the first like deposit deadline, it's for the flight, is on September 19th. So I want to get this info to you like as quickly as possible, so that some of that decision making can happen before that point, before like money's needing to be due. So, do you want to do this part?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so if you haven't heard, we're going to Monte Cristi in the Dominican Republic, and it's through the nonprofit Outreach 360. So if you haven't looked at their website yet, I encourage you to go on there and check it out and see what their values are and things that we'll kind of be working with, so that's listed there as well. This is our second year doing this as President's Leadership Program, so Carrie has gone before, I have not, so we do have familiarity with it and are probably going with another school as well, so we won't be the only university there at this time. So dates of travel will be December 29th to January 5th, so during your winter break. You won't have to miss any classes or anything like that, so I know a couple of you had concerns with that.
And if there is, by some chaotic measure, that there is some weather event that would prevent us from getting back on time for class, it's already like approved for the provost that this wouldn't be something that would be counted against you. So like that as well, that in some freak accident that we're not back for like day one of classes, because this is a university sponsored event, like it's not gonna like harm you in any way.
So the cost section next on your paper, roughly $1,833. Kind of broken down, the Outreach 360 participant fee is $700. So that's going to include your housing and your meals, t-shirts for the week,
Ground transportation, cultural activities. Yes, that feels like
the
it.
fun stuff.
Travel insurance.
Yes.
Things included too.
Round trip flight is a different cost. Tourist card, you have to actually get this in order to enter the country. So this is only a $10 fee. And then, of course, if you don't already have a U.S. passport, it's $110. So that's something that would be in addition that you'd have to make sure you get quickly, so that you get in time. Yeah.
So can I ask, like, where did that amount come from? Because if I like Dad was like looking into it, it looked like a little more than that price. I was just wondering.
Little more where?
Like for a passport. So like where did that cost come from? So
We went on the website and looked at it. So
Okay.
if it's not accurate, I mean, it's the U.S. government website, so
Okay.
you can look it up and see how much it costs.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Any questions on that section? You cannot use your study abroad scholarship for this. We're not getting this experience with class credit involved, and so it's not technically studying abroad. So you do still have that to use in PLP at another time, but just not towards this trip. Like Carrie said, the first payment would be due on September 19th, and that's the flight deposit, and we'll talk more about how you would pay that once we get to the other documents. The next deadline would be October 1st for the Outreach 360 deposit, and then November 13th and 26th. So we do have an option of fundraising. So as a group, we'll do some fundraisers. Last year, they did t-shirt sales, restaurant, different fundraisers, things like that. So we have the option of coming up with what we want to do this year as well. They do provide you with like a GoFundMe kind of website where you can raise up to your participant fee through Outreach 360. You are also more than welcome to make your own GoFundMe page to pay for the rest. It is near the holidays, so you can ask for maybe gifts from your family to help you pay for these fees. They also do letter writing campaigns, so they'll give us a template for sending out letters and asking for donations. Yeah, anything else on that section?
We're gonna figure it out as a team as well. And so all of the ones we did last year were like, we're coordinating the efforts as a team, but the work that you do is benefiting you individually. I think maybe like a restaurant fundraiser, like a few people did, and then it was divided amongst those 3 or 4 people who did it, which we could do. Like Chipotle fundraisers apparently raise a lot of money because they give a like huge percentage, and so that could make sense for us to do more as a larger group, but we'll get more into what those nitty-gritty details look like. Yeah.
Do you know, like, approximately how much they were able to fundraise last year? Or, like, how much they had to pay out of pocket?
Anywhere from, like, I know personally I fundraised around $200 to $300. I know some people, like, really were able to
Raised almost
trip,
all of it.
fundraising.
Yeah.
So, what, I don't know if they'll be doing it again this year, but we did individual effort. So if you decide you wanted to do, say, the t-shirts, whatever you sell, that's going to go back to you. So it's really all about how much work you put in fundraising.
Yeah, there are some folks who like they fundraised for their entire participant fee, which is like pretty significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Flights are through American Airlines, but we are booked through like a travel kind of agency that works with universities, and so if something were to happen, they would be able to book us as a group on a new flight rather than like individually, and then also give us all the same price of flights rather than like, you know, booking cheaper earlier, so on and so forth. So with that, you get your checked bag, a carry-on, and then usually you get like a personal item that like sticks under the seat. So in total, you can bring 3 bags, but most people last year brought like a carry-on, and that's pretty much
item.
it.
Yeah.
So
They give you t-shirts to wear while you're there. You'll wear an Outreach 360 t-shirt, so you like don't need to pack any shirts. I mean, unless you like want to sleep in something different, which totally understandable. So it's not like this is a crazy laborious, you know, like you need to really, really double down on your packing. Yeah, and I included all of the flight details with the numbers and stuff in there. And I just want to echo, I know some folks, like you may have looked online at like Google Flights and like what is the price difference between going with a group and booking your own flight. And the reason why the holidays is part of it, like flying to the Dominican Republic over the holidays, like that's going to increase, have a pretty heavy price tag to it, as you can kind of see. But also booking as a group, since we've had these seats reserved for so long, we'll all be sitting together. But last year we did have some trouble getting back home. And so that would have meant the folks who didn't book with us, you got to figure out your own stuff. Whereas like myself and the other trip leader, we as a group could figure out what we were doing to get from New York City down to DC. So that's kind of the benefit to that, is that CNU then assumes all cost for students that are a part of the group. And so that meant I had like $1,400 in train tickets on my credit card that, you know, CNU reimbursed me for, obviously, but that didn't come out of your pocket. If anything, in the Ubers, that was like $200 in Ubers. But that's kind of the benefit for that. So if you're like, well, I looked at this and my parents looked at that, like that's why we wanted to offer this group opportunity. For ground transportation, we found that most of the folks are usually like from Nova, have family in Nova, like have some kind of connection to Nova, and those who don't, there's usually people within the group who are like, yeah, you can stay the night and then we can go to the airport in the morning and carpool up there. So you'll get to the airport, Ronald Reagan Airport, at about 5:45 in the morning. And like I said, we'll create a carpool within our group. And then in terms of the Dominican Republic, once we land, it's a like 2 to 3 hour car ride to Monte Cristi. So we are in rural Dominican Republic, I think it's like half hour or 45 minutes from the Haitian border. And so it's a bit of a drive. And all of that is included as part of our participant fee. And that's also, we needed to arrive within a certain time window. And so again, if you're looking at flights and you're like, well, we can land at this time and get there, in order for them to be providing us transportation included in our participant fee, we had to be there at a specific time, which it would be more expensive to pay for ground transportation there as opposed to what the cost looks like rolled into the flight. In terms of housing, we're going to be staying on site at one of Outreach 360's learning centers in Monte Cristi. And so what it is a converted hotel, but I don't want you to get your hopes up super high on what that looks like. It's summer campy. So hotels look very different there, and they're not the like, I'm in Punta Cana, like luxurious, like 4-star hotels with like all you can eat kind of thing. It's like bunk beds, they provide a pillow, linens, like sheets, that kind of stuff, and a mosquito net. So that's kind of fun. And then like showers and that kind of stuff are all available on site. Meals are prepared for us on site as well. But you don't have to like think about like figuring out housing or anything. That's part of the experience. And then the classrooms and all that are on the bottom floor. So we're staying where it is that we're going to be volunteering. So it's very like self-enclosed, and men and women will be staying in separate rooms. Like I mentioned, meals are provided on site at the Learning Center. It's prepared by locals. A lot of the staff at Outreach 360 are like citizens of Monte Cristi. And so it's pretty cool because we'll have like authentic Dominican food. It means a lot of plantains, means rice, means beans. The chicken was incredible. And I know usually this is where my mom even was like, so like the water and like how safe are things for you to be eating there? Everything is safe for us. Everything's purified on site, and the cooking methods they use are going to be something that our bodies can handle. It's not that like the food there is like tainted and unsanitary, but it's that it has bacteria that we haven't grown up consuming, and so our bodies just aren't ready for it. While they can like go ahead and do that because they've grown up on it, it's not something that we can do. And so they kind of guide us through that. Water and Gatorade is accessible for volunteers 24/7, and they're very good with like accommodations for meals. I know there was at least a couple of vegans in the last year's volunteer group, and they're super accommodating on that. Yeah. In terms of dress code, we had a lot of conversation around this last year. General theme is modest. Modest is hottest there, and especially for like professional attire, kind of what that means. And as a teacher, you're considered professional, and so I mean, I feel like you see the pictures of like typical what like mission trips are, and this isn't a mission trip per se, but like maxi skirts, linen pants, long basketball shorts, so like leggings, probably. I mean, you can wear jeans too, but it just feels a little thick to me personally to be wearing in the heat. But like leggings are a no-go, like tight-fitted pants, not so much. Last year we were working with like 5th and 6th graders, and we kind of want to maintain that level of professionalism with them, and respect those cultural norms there. And that also included one day we went to the beach, and it was really great, and we got to go in the ocean, and they asked that the bathing suits for ladies be a one-piece, that in the past that they've had some kind of awkward encounters with like American and Canadian women getting just like comments about it, because that's not normal for there. So modest is hottest, and we can talk more about that at length the closer that we get. But I literally went to like Goodwill and bought a few skirts, and I ended up leaving them there just to donate for the next group. So I'll be going back. Immunizations, currently the CDC, Center for Disease Control, does not recommend any vaccinations for going to the Dominican Republic. I know sometimes when you travel abroad, they're like, make sure you get like this, that, and the other thing. There isn't anything. I mentioned the mosquito nets. There's never been, I mean, you might get mosquito bites. I'm not saying that you're going to be like sleeping with swarms of mosquitoes, but that's more of a preventative measure. And of the like 22,000 plus people who volunteered with them since like the mid 90s, nobody's had a mosquito-borne illness. So I think the odds are pretty good there. In terms of safety, that is like our underlying priority numero uno. Get it? Spanish. Funny. And so Julianne and I are going as like university staff, and so there's 2 of us going, so that way if we need to split, if someone needs to be flown home, like we can do that. We have that kind of portability. So we're not just kind of like sending you there by yourself, like CNU staff is with you. Let me see here. Right now, the Dominican Republic has a level 2 travel advisory, and so we exercise a lot of caution around that, and that CNU's policies will not allow us to go if that's elevated to a level 3. I don't really see it being elevated to a level 3. The folks there don't see it being elevated to a level 3. But that means that we're even using particularly more discretion than we have before. And so that means when we're walking around the community, I mean, a lot of the times you're going to be doing volunteer stuff, and you're not going to have a ton of free time, but there will be opportunity for free time. We're traveling in at least groups of 3. We'll try to break up our Spanish speakers as much as possible. You have access to a satellite phone. There's an armed guard, which like the first time we walked in, I'm like, what the heck is that? What is going on? And it's just like a cultural thing. It's the same idea as like a security guard. But then really like the bottom line is that Outreach 360 has wonderful relationships in Monte Cristi. Like they employ locals, they've been embraced by the community. When we walk around and we'll do our city tour, when we were doing it with the staff, they're like, oh Tom, it's so great to see you. Like, how's your wife? Like, they know each other personally. And so they're really welcomed there. And it's not so much of a like aid and charity and like a power differential. They're really working alongside and not like a charity case kind of organization, and we'll talk a ton more about like what that means philosophically, but it's pretty sweet. In terms of emergency contacts, when you register on Outreach 360, my battery's running low. Is it not plugged in? Oh,
Is it not plugged into the wall?
Hey, all right, cool. We will ask you all for emergency contact information, and what happens for international travel is that we will, what's happening? Kind of compile that information, and we'll be sending it to the university police, and so they just kind of monitor any kind of international travel that is happening. And so if there's some kind of event that's happening there, you know, they're like communicating with us really regularly. Oh, we're gonna scooch, okay. Bum, bum, bum. And then also Outreach 360 asks for some emergency contact information. There are satellite phones available to you there. They're not 100% accessible all the time because you're asked to kind of be present in the moment. They always have service, but you don't always like, oh, hold on, it's like 10 a.m. and we're in the middle of this class. Like, no. But like when you arrive or at night or, you know, early in the morning, if you want to call home, you can do that. I also personally like had cell phone signal, so that's kind of nice. So when folks landed, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to text my mom. I just kind of like passed my cell phone down the line. It was like, here you go, like text mom, let her know you're there. So that was good. Travel insurance. They provide a personal medical and travel insurance for every volunteer. Honestly, like I copied and pasted this off the website. If you want to, there's like a lot more information about it on the website itself, but basically the bread and butter of it is that there is $100 deductible, and then beyond that you're covered. So if there's for some reason you need to go to the clinic, really like a good chunk of the cost is covered for you. There's our contact info. Yahoo. And then the other papers that are in here, the Start the Adventure STA Travel is the flight information, and that gives the, like, where you go to basically make your flight deposit. I ask that when you do that, send us an email so we know that you're good to go. Once we get closer to like the deadline, they'll send us an email, but it's just nice for us to have a pace of like who's where, how are people in the decision-making process. So this gives all of the flight details and information, but also the process for how to place that deposit. And on here it says the deposit's due no later than September 21st. I'm really aiming for September 19th. So I know the paperwork says something different, but the sooner the better for us, honestly. Wonderful. And then this is just a kind of like step-by-step of registering for Outreach 360. I mean, like, y'all have made accounts before, like, you're millennials and Gen Zers, right? Like, you know how to internet. But this is kind of a step-by-step and just some, like, things to consider, some highlights as you're joining our team online. Like, have you ever done Relay for Life and you like join a team online? Same process. And we do have 2 different trips happening at different times of the year. So you'll see Christopher Newport University winter team. So that's when you want to join. Yeah, I'm not gonna like go by this step by step. You guys you'll see it as you go through. It's pretty self-explanatory. What questions do people have that we can try to answer for you? Did I hit all of them? That would be incredible. Huh?
That's our hope.
That was our hope.
If there was something were to happen, like, and we couldn't go, and we already paid all of this, would we get it back?
The short answer is no.
Okay.
And I also want to explain why. So airlines, they don't. They just don't. For Outreach 360, because this did happen for one of our volunteers who had already placed his deposit with Outreach 360 last year. Since they're a nonprofit and not like a business, if they refund things, they like lose their nonprofit status because it's technically a donation. And so it's kind of like, oh, well, you can have your donation back. And so it compromises that like 503c status for them. What they do is allow you can either donate it to the organization outright or go on another trip within the next 12 months and like it applies and carries over. As of right now, there are conversations in motion for a trip to potentially be going in March, so that could be something that shift over to that if that is a time you're able to go. You also, if you're like going to graduate, like you can still go as an individual within 12 months. So even if you can't go with CNU, you can still, just as like a human being, go as well, and that be carried over too. Other questions? Okay, I did a lot of talking. I'm not. Whew.
I think, like, big point is just be clear with us. Like, if you have concerns or, like, are for sure going, you talk to your parents and everything's good, like, wherever you're at on the spectrum, like, just let us know because Carrie's gone before and can give you some suggestions on, like, a lot of concerns or questions or things that you have to kind of help you figure out your situation, but also just so we know where we're at and how many people we have and things like that. So just be upfront with us and
we're not
reach
going
out
to be
us.
mad at you.
Yeah.
No. 2, happy to like chat with parents, email back and forth. Well, okay, probably email back and forth at least for this week, if we're being honest. If there's any concerns, like my mom was also like, tell me about these pieces of information so I can feel comfortable. And I'm like, okay, Mom, calm down. Like, I'm an adult. But I totally understand that and happy to provide whatever I can to ease some tension or anxiety that maybe they might be having.
When will we begin doing fundraising stuff?
Yeah, so I had this whole like grand master plan that like we'd try to meet bi-weekly, and so this hurricane kind of threw that into the wind a little bit. But once we get our number of folks who are committed to the experience, we'll more proactively have time for having a meeting planned for us to discuss that and go over it. So as soon as possible, my guess is within like shortly after that flight deposit being put down. We took a little while last year to get fundraising going, and I think kind of felt the pressure of that, and so it's really what's a priority for me to make sure that that's an opportunity, because access, right, and being able to have as much opportunity as possible and as much time to fundraise that you need is important.
And if you're feeling that pressure, like, take it upon yourself to kind of start letter writing. You can go out and do your own sorts of things. Like, I know Walmart, you can go and pitch your whatever it may be, and they'll let you do bake sales outside, let you do stuff like that. So there's always stuff you can start whenever, but we'll do some.
Yeah. I have this idea of like a cool t-shirt design in my head going on. And one of the students in PLP said that he would lend his really awesome graphic design skills for it, that I think creating like a t-shirt design that is maybe more like broad-based for for students. And so it's not so like I wear this shirt and it kind of looks like I went on the DR trip, even though like I'm like the friend of a friend who went on the DR trip. And so I think just like making it a little more broad as opposed to narrow, like broad to just like CNU and service more generally. So I have a couple ideas up my sleeve, but if you have ideas, like, please.
Or you also have graphic design
Or you
skills.
also have graphic design skills, because I can use Canva and that's as far as it goes. So yeah, Photoshop is scary. Cool. Sweet. We're going to be sending out an email kind of like uploading this link on YouTube and providing this information electronically as well. And like I kind of mentioned, we're going to do our best to be attentive on email, probably not via phone, for any questions and concerns you do have. At this point, you're like, if you're like, I'm in, I'm sold, you're like ready to go and put down your flight deposit, like go for it. Just shoot us an email when that happens. Okay. All right. Go live your lives. We'll hang out here if you do have questions.
Thank you.